Hello, how you doing? This is Steve Favis. This video is simply about IP valuation, and it's targeted towards business development for innovators, creators, and software entrepreneurs, basically. Let's go ahead and get started. This is created for my note. This is created for my Patreon channel, so please support me if you can. If you like this video. So let me start out with a little bit of a waiver here, basically. Before I give IP valuation, the waiver you got it. The waiver is number one. I am not an IP valuation expert. Well, why am I creating a video? Well, because this is the best place to start as far as my research and what I've learned about IP valuation, intellectual property, patents, and so forth. So do not go to VC investors and say, I said your IP is worth this much, or you are an expert, because this video will not make you an expert. But what this is a guideline, and a starting point. It's simply a theory and not IP gospel. Okay? So just because you have a certain value for you've come to a conclusion of your valuation for your IP, doesn't mean that's the truth. I'll talk about what the true IP valuation is in a second. But part of the primary main reason of this video is if you know how to design better intellectual property or patents, you can design better patents, basically, and you could have what the original patent is for, which is basically a monopoly on your technology or design or whatever. And that's what it's granted for. Innovation creates a monopoly, and you want to do your best to take care of that monopoly for as long as you can. And a second note is always, this is circled, always go to counsel and work with an IP technology attorney for your patents, basically. I think the saying goes, a client that is counsel for himself has a fool for a client, or something of that nature. Anyways, always go to counsel, like I said. Always rely on counsel and IP technology attorneys. Again, it costs money, but trust me, it's very, very worth it. So I'm going to go to the immediate rough spoiler here. I hate videos that basically talk for hours and hours and hours about something and they don't get to the meat of the point. The meat of the point, and what I'm trying to convey is that patents, in summary, I'm going to write it out here, if you can see, is basically, and from my best experience, what I research is how much cash flow that patent can create times 15 years, or how many years does the patent have left? And the reason why I say how many years does this patent have left, if you if you made a patent and it got granted 15 years ago, then chances are the IP is worth not very much. And of course, when you have this kind of gross calculation, then you also have to reduce the cost of everything it costs to start to make the patent, basically. So a patent, if it costs $1 trillion to make the patent, and your patent's only worth 100,000, then chances are you need to rethink your IP. And of course, paying the next part is paying the capital back, or your investors back, for the patent developed, basically. If you can develop patent on your own with your own capital, more power to you, and try to run this loose valuation to make sure the patent's worth going for, basically. And also, not only the next part is paying your capital back, or your investors back, or your own capital, and it's also taking away the taxes on everything need to be taxed. It depends on where you're located, what your taxes are. I don't know where your taxes are. You have to know that for yourself, and how much tax, whether it's a product, a service, or something in a nature. Most services probably can't be patented, but anyways, lots of other random impactful variables also, minus, of course, lots of other random impactful variables, known and unknown. And what I mean is there's a lot of variables affecting the patents. I'll talk about that in a little bit. And of course, unknown. There's always unknown variables in every equation. If you know them all, maybe you could patent it. Anyway, this is kind of the gross summary of what the patent value is. So what the true patent value really is, if you want a true patent value, it's simply how much somebody will pay for it. It doesn't matter if you think it's worth $1 trillion or somebody only thinks it's worth $5. If somebody offers you $5 for it, chances are it's worth $5. Or your investor is valuing what you have. You could get a loose valuation from what the investor thinks your patent is worth or IP is worth. And of course, you do not know this until someone makes an offer for the true patent value. Actually, that's just a summary of what it is. We have to ballpark from before we get that information. So the next part, the first part of that equation is on this thing is on that cash flow. How much cash flow do we have, or how much cash flow is worth? Of course, this is going to take business planning, basically. Go back to that slide. Cash flow is obviously king, so this requires a business plan. Okay, if you are an innovator and a creator, and you want to try to bring your product to market, you always have to create a business plan. You have to do it yourself or work with somebody to help you create that business plan. A loose template, probably the best resource that I found on any business planning. There's a lot of scam clickbaits online. Is SCORE, or Sacramento? It's Community of Retired Executives. So it was, I call it SCORE because I'm in Sacramento, but actually SCORE is here's a website right up here, basically. So you can see here they have business planning tools and templates. You just download these templates, basically, and it has all the basic simple stuff that you ever need for beginning and starting a business, and it'll help you get your IP valuation, basically. SCORE is basically probably one of the best resources for people just starting businesses. SCORE is basically retired executives, people who are veteran businesses in business. It's ran by the Small Business Development Agency in United States. So anyway, SCORE is a great resource for getting that business plan. And remember, another key thing to remember is value changes. It changes over time. Okay, if your a market changes, market variables. Again, we have crazy, unpredictable market variables, random market variables, and there's lots of them. It changes over time. Okay, and remember, today's value of your intellectual property or patent may not be tomorrow's value. And again, this requires a business plan, and the market does change. Financial markets change, politics change, commodities change. You have no idea until you really factor those in to the best of your abilities. So, going to how many years do you have your patent? This obviously is dictatable by where you're located. All patent laws are a little bit different. There are international patents and whatnot. And what you could do is you could look up how long you'd have a patent. Specifically, normally in the U.S. for technology, it's usually around 15 years for some sort of hardware or whatnot. Of course, I make hardware, so that's how I'm familiar with hardware. And also, are you sure you want to patent it? Okay, this is another question, and this is probably one of the most important lessons I have or have learned throughout my IP valuation stuff. Is, for example, Coca-Cola is always a good case study for this. Coca-Cola has not patented their recipe because it is what they call a trade secret, and if they were to patent that recipe and disclose it 15, or actually when they started, whatever, 1900s or 1910s or whatever, their patent would have expired by now, and everybody would have the can of worms would be out, and then everybody would be able to make Coca-Cola, and Coca-Cola would be worthless. People you could make in your kitchen or whatnot. It's still a secret recipe, and if you note, other fake Coca-Colas just don't taste the same as Coca-Cola itself. So they kept the recipe secret. So if you have something very, very proprietary that maybe perhaps only you understand, or you have, or nobody can figure out, something secret, you may not want to patent it. So you might not want to patent it, actually. But if you do have a patent and you think it will be copied or cloned or whatever, usually around in the United States about 15 years. And remember, there's provisional and non-provisional patents. Provisional patents are the ones you want, and those maintain your temporary, at least 15-year monopoly. Non-provisionals are filed, and they last about a year once you make your discovery, and you have about I think a year and a half to discover or file your non-provisional patent for the 15-year ones. And also the stage of the patent is very important too. If it's a patent that has been granted, the valuation of your IP is going to go up basically. So granted patents are worth more than non-provisional patents basically, or temporary patents or patents that haven't been granted. So remember, since patents are so dependent on your time, for example, a 1-year-old patent is worth more than a 15-year-old patent, and so forth. You always want to keep your patents and you always want to refresh your patents as your technology developments get more developed. Okay, so this is an important concept. You always have to be filing patents if you're doing something innovative and you're doing well. So always try to keep your technology monopoly. For example, ARM is a really good example. ARM's technology patents were acquired for 31 billion, and of course they have a lot of backing, a lot of funding. They're a huge company. They've had over 4,500. They have over 4,500 patents in their patent portfolio, basically. And what that means is each for 31 billion for their entire portfolio, that came down to about 7 million for their patents or per patent. So out of 4,500 patents, each one was worth about 7 million. So I think that's pretty much about it. I just wanted to give you that loose, short video on how to kind of just get an idea of where to value it. Like I said, it's very difficult to do this, and be sure to watch out for clickbait. Here's the last lesson on this. For example, you Google, what is my patent worth? As you see, it shows up there in Google. Obviously, people are checking it. A lot of this, these ads, a lot of them are clickbaits. There's no answers basically. So you see a lot of this is not very. The people are great at SEO and marketing their patent valuation business. And remember that sometimes these businesses charge a lot of money for your for them to value your IP, and it doesn't mean it's going to be actually sold at that value. So it doesn't mean they're accurate. If you have to go to a patent valuation company, be sure to see if they have a track record of how much their patent valuation has been and how close it was actually to market share, or how much it actually sold for, if it was sold. So you see, there's a lot of crap on Google, and none of this gives you any sort of formulaic or formula for this stuff. But there are some tools online. I think probably the best one that I've seen is called Tool IP. I think if you go to Tool IP, patent valuation, I think this is probably a good, legitimate valuation site that I like, and will cost a little bit to subscribe to it. They have a bunch of good good subscription plans, 99 euros for 15-day license if you want to get a loose valuation. But it's pretty good. It's pretty accurate. It has a lot of good summaries of kind of what I kind of summarized back there. So anyways, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope this gives you an idea of how you could design your IP for your entrepreneurial business of creating and making and innovating with technology. Okay, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Oh, and also, if you can support the Patreon channel and subscribe, that would be great. I plan to submit a lot more and record a lot more video lessons for young, new, enterprising innovators. Okay? Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.